I'd like to say good evening to everyone.
Good evening.
It's good to be back in the house of the Lord. We are still in Matthew, and of course we didn't have electricity last week and hot and stuff, so we didn't have church. So it's good to be back. And I was telling some of them out front here before we came in. Patsy and I went to our doctor yesterday, and he was bragging on that all of our blood work was looking good, and that our liver function, especially Patsy's, went down and was looking good, and it's a lot better. And he said, "You're in good shape." And I was thinking, boy, I sure don't feel like I'm in good shape sometimes. But we still got to go visit them people and for them to tell us all this fun stuff about ourselves. Matthew chapter 10, I believe, is where we're at. We had studied where in the first half of chapter 10, I think we got through the 23rd verse, where he had called his disciples together. He gave them instructions to go out into the land. And talked about the persecution and all the other things that they will face in their lives. And he has some additional instructions for them here, starting in verse 24. So Matthew chapter 10, verse 24, the disciples, he says, is not above his master. Or master, of course, in this instance is also meaning teacher. It can be translated as teacher. Nor the servant above the Lord. So he's given these instructions out to his disciples to go out. He then told them that they're going to be able to cast out demons, and they're going to be able to heal the sick, and all these other things that they're going to do, and to preach that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. But he's given them a little warning here. He said, don't think of yourself too high and mighty. And Jesus was probably the best example of that we could ever have. Jesus was always humble to his Father's will. He never did it to exalt himself. He always exalted and pointed to the Father that sent him. And what an example that is for all of us as well. And I know I've told you all the story before that when I was singing and doing a lot of it. I thought I was getting pretty good. I had like 4 nights in 4 different counties. And boy, I thought I was really getting good. And I started thinking that I was pretty good. And just like a valve, it got turned off. Nobody called me. And then I kind of got to thinking, well, Lord, it wasn't about me anyway, was it? And when I humbled myself and went to the altar and asked for forgiveness, the call started coming back in. And I think that's so much for all of us and all that we do. You know, when we witness to people, it's not about us. If we're the teachers, if we're preaching, if we're singing, heck, if in the Bible school we're getting ready to have, it's not about anything wicked. It's doing whatever the Lord has for us to do and exalting Him above all. He said it is enough for the disciples that he be as his master or teacher. Be the same as them. Go by their example. And the master as his Lord. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebub, how much more shall they call them of his household? They'd already accused Jesus of casting out demons in the name of Beelzebub. Hey, if they did it to me, they're going to do it to you. I find this interesting that right after, on the heels of them telling how they would suffer and how people are going to hate them, and Father hates the Son, and the Son and all the examples that he gave, all the stuff of how they're going to hate each other. And they, they may be a little confused of it and what's happening. And then he tells them, hey, you remember they just called me Beelzebub. Don't you think they're going to do the same to you? Now, they don't know that he hasn't went to the cross yet and seen how they persecuted and beat him and all the things they did and hung him on the cross. When they see that, you think they might remember, hey, he said that they're going to do that to him. Are they going to do it to us? Fear them not, therefore, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, and hide that shall not be known. I'm going to tell you everything that's going to happen. Didn't he tell them everything? Now, some of it they didn't want to hear. Even Peter said, no, Lord, it's not true. It's not going to happen. What did he say? Get behind me, Satan. And they wrote it all down so that we can see all that happens. Nothing hidden. You see, the religious leaders of that time thought it of such a great mystery. How can they be saved? But Jesus is going to tell them all, show them all. It's not a mystery when he reveals it all to them. He says, what I tell you in darkness, speak ye in light. And what ye hear in the ear, that preach ye upon the housetop. See, he knows there's going to come a time that he's not going to be with them. He knows that he's going to be going away. And he's teaching them in a group. Now, you know there's more there than the 12. Because there's sometimes it says that he took the 12 away privately. But there's other times that others was with him and he spoke openly. But he knows there's going to come a time when he's not going to be with them. And he gives them the Great Commission when he ascends up into heaven. And it's to go out and to spread the gospel, the good news, and preach it from the housetops. Preach it to and tell people of it wherever we go. Do it openly. He says, and fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul. But rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. What's he saying there? Fear God.
I kind of wonder about that body, though. It says it goes back to the dust of the earth. Is that not what he's talking about?
But don't we have it backwards? Don't we fear man probably more than we do God? Aren't we worried more about losing our own lives? Or the fear of the damage that they can do to us? Don't you think his disciples is getting that message as he's telling these instructions? Don't fear them. Because all they can do, the worst they can do is kill you. But if you are persecuted for his name's sake, he will reward us. Fear more him that can destroy the body and the soul. Well, isn't that something? And I know, like I said, I know we have that backwards. Mostly, don't we? Yeah. He says, and not 2 sparrows sold for a farthing. And now if you get into that and translate that, it's a couple of pennies. And one of them shall not fall on the ground without your Father. But the very heads of your head are all numbered. He knows when that sparrow falls. He knows the sacrifices or whatever that is given in the temple. That's when they buy those sparrows and those other things and offer them up as sacrifices. He knows what they're doing. He knows every one of them. And He knows every hair on your head. Now, that may not be too impressive to y'all that has a head like mine. But He knows every one.
He gets cancer with fashion.
He don't have to take as much time worrying about my hair. He can worry about other things I'm doing. He knows all about us. He says, fear ye not therefore. Ye are more valuable than many sparrows. If God knows those sparrows and knows each hair, don't you think He knows and wants the best for us? If He cares for them, don't you think He cares even more for us? Whosoever therefore shall confess me before men, him will I confess also before my Father which is in heaven. But whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before my Father which is in heaven. That is pretty serious, isn't it, folks?
Pretty cut and dry.
Did He say we're ashamed of Him, He'll be ashamed of us?
Yes.
And out in public, and a lot of times you don't want to talk about the Lord. But I'll tell you, I don't care if I'm in the dollar store, wherever I'm at. It don't bother me. I love to do it.
And that's what I was just about to say. Sometimes we get scared to do that, don't we? Sometimes it's hard to talk to people about church or going to church or Jesus and it's hard, but they really, really need to hear, especially those that we're probably more afraid of to mention it in front of because we're afraid how they're going to act, what they're going to say. We're perfect strangers. You don't know how they're going to... Folks, if the Lord laid it on our heart to say it, they probably need to hear it.
If you think back, and I was just thinking about my own personal experience. Whenever I told somebody about the Lord, it's been received a whole lot more times than what was they said something in a negative fashion.
Oh, you're going to always have something that's going to be negative, that's going to say something negative.
Most of the time they really say, well, thank you.
Yeah.
You know, or they don't say anything at all, but that's
Yeah.
all right.
Or they just say, I don't want to hear. That's all I can do.
That's all you can do. You've done your part.
Don't you hear that?
I've told y'all I've taken one of the worst beatings I had from the Lord one time because I heard a man's voice in the lobby, and as clear as anything, the Lord told me, go talk to that man and invite him to church. I didn't know the man. He lived in a different county. He had a business up there. I didn't know him very well at all. And I got up and I said, okay, I'm going to go up and invite him out to church. And by the time I walked to the front lobby, I didn't talk myself out of it. Old devil saying, no, you don't know him that well. He don't even live around here. He's not going to come to your church. And I didn't do it, and I got one of the worst whippings from the Lord because I didn't obey what He wanted me to do.
Well, there's this man that used to sit on the street and play. He's dead and gone now, but he was always drinking. I mean, that's his life, I reckon. He just drink. And I walked by him time and time again, just wanted to get the mail and bring it back, whatever. And one day I started to go by him, and somebody something told me, sit on the side of him and just talk to him. But he told me, he said, I've done this all my life. And he said, I'll never be able to change. He said, God doesn't give up on me. I said, He never gives up on us, ever.
Sure.
But the old man, I guess, died that way. But I had to talk to him. Something just kept pulling at me.
Right.
It don't matter, whatever you say, just make sure you say something to them that maybe will lift them up.
Yeah.
Lift them up.
And I think that's it. Sometimes, and I know the Spirit's told me to talk to people and do things, and sometimes we ignore it and we go on and we get a whipping. Yes, that's true. But what influence could you maybe had on somebody that was, you know, and sometimes it's been some good Christian people I know. But I don't know, they may have been going through something that they needed a word of encouragement. And I didn't offer it. What does it say right here? If whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before my Father which is in heaven. Isn't that pretty scary? Folks, we need to do, like the verse before that, 32, whosoever therefore shall confess me before men, him will I confess also before my Father which is in heaven. That ought to be enough to tell us, don't worry about it. He done told us right above that, don't worry about it, because the worst he can do is kill you. And if you do that, then you can just move right on up to heaven with him.
Be walking on them streets of gold, man.
Yeah. I listen to old Ed and them up there sing along, hear old Boo preaching.
I told you a story about when I got saved. That old devil fought me all the way to work that next morning. I was pulled in on the parking lot. There wasn't but one car there, and that was the superintendent's. There was a voice spoke to me and said, "You go to it." First one I ever witnessed to after I got saved. I walked in there and knocked on that door. He said, "Come on in." I went in there and right off I told him what happened. He said, "Well," he said, "let me tell you something. We all should do that." And I said, "You're exactly right." And I came back getting saved. That fall when deer season, he got killed up in Pocahontas County. That was in July.
Yeah.
November he got killed. So I don't know if he made it right in between those days or not, but at least I witnessed it.
At least you had a witness to him. He said, "Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I come not to send peace, but a sword."
I'll tell you one thing, it's here.
When I read this and studying for this, of course it's been a few weeks now since we wasn't here last week. I think of all those that preach, boy, Jesus is love. Jesus is love. He loves everybody. Jesus is love. That's not what he says here, is it? Now God is love, and I believe that it's love, but there's more to it than He's love, and He loves us all, and He loves us just the way we are. There's a lot more to it than that, and that's not true anyway. He doesn't love the way we are. He does not love the sin that's in our lives. I come not to send peace, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And the man's foe shall be there of his own household. Now, if you want to go back and read that, that's in, what is that? Malachi? It's the reference I'm getting to that. In the time of judgment, all of these things will be coming true. Do we see that happening now? Have you ever seen the world so divided? Of the hatred of one side against the other. I saw them doing an interview at one of these marches, and they were asking these liberal people, do you have any conservative or Christian friends? And every one of them said no, and if I did, I'd drop them. The hate of one side to the other. Then they asked the same question to the conservative or the Christian side. Do you have? Oh yeah, we have, and I pray for them, and we, the difference of one side or the other.
You ask most of these people what they're marching for, and a lot of them don't even know.
Oh, they don't. It's just that they hate one side so much. And that's really scary. It's really scary when people go and they try to talk to them or discuss things with them, and others block them. Folks, when you quit talking and you quit discussing things, that's when things really get bad. Because when you do that, then you get to where you don't have an association with them, and that's when harm can come to them. Because if you don't have an association, you don't have any feelings for them, it's okay to destroy them. That's scary. That's serious. That's what he's talking about here. All of these things can happen, and it's going to happen. And then when we see it happen, he that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Now that don't mean not to love your son or your daughter or your mother or your father. It's just that what comes first. I saw this. They did this. They were interviewing Christians, and it looked like it was a church setting. I'm not sure, but they asked them, "What is more important? Which comes first in your life? Your mother, your wife, or your daughter?" Mother, wife, daughter. And it I thought of that when I was reading this. And different ones had different orders for things. But biblically speaking, which comes first?
God comes first.
Well, God comes first. We've got that one. But which of these? Well, the man that was doing it, because they asked this church guy, and he was saying, well, you're supposed to love your wife above your mother and your daughter. See, God has chosen them for you. You've come together as one flesh. Your wife should be the most important. You have left the home of your mother to join. Your second thing is you're responsible for the life that you bring into this world. Your second one in that list should be your daughter. And then, of course, mothers comes third in that list, because that's, biblically speaking, is what he had. And I thought about that some, and it's something to be think about. Of course, we know God comes first in that, but a lot of us does the opposite. We put our mothers sometimes before our wives, and that causes trouble in the house, doesn't it? If you put your kids above your spouse, doesn't that sometimes cause trouble? There's an order to it. I don't know why I threw that in there, but I thought of that when I was coming to my mind just now. And he that teacheth not, and he that taketh not his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. God comes first. Jesus comes first. The Holy Spirit in us comes first. Daily, we have to pick them up and take them with us wherever we go. Now, he says he'll never leave us or forsake us. He's always in our hearts. He's always going to be with us. But let's take up that cross. Let's take up, and you understand, Jesus hasn't went to the cross yet here. The cross is something very cruel punishment of this time. Why is he talking about picking it up daily? Well, we look back at it and we understand it, but they're looking forward to it. They don't understand it, but they will. And a lot of Jesus' teaching to his disciples is so that when things happen in their lives, they're going to remember it. It's the same for us. Some of the teachings we hear and the things we may not understand it, but when we need it, we can pull it out of our memory. When people ask us questions, we can pull that out of our memory. Every day we need to work for him. Every day he comes first. Every day we have to pick up that cross and take it with us, knowing that he comes first. And somebody may ask us something. That's why it's important to study and read. And I'm going to tell you what I've slacked off on. I don't know what my issue is. For some reason, I have slacked off since the weather changed. I don't know if I'm just getting tired in the evening and I'm not studying when I go to bed. But folks, I need to get back into my reading and studying a little more. And I'll admit I think that's sometimes when I don't feel that I'm walking as close as because I've led up on something and I need to get back into that. Isn't that something? Take up your cross and follow after him. Is not worthy of me. He that findeth his life shall lose it, and he that loseth his life for my sake shall find it. People, we get so consumed with our lives, consumed with living longer, consumed with all the things going around us, worrying about death, that he's saying here, we may do something or we may deny him because we're afraid. But if you lose his life, see, this goes right back to what we just started off with. Don't worry about those that can just kill the body. Hey, if you try to spare your life by denying him, he'll deny you before the Father, and you may live longer here, but it may not be good for you after. But if you stand up for him and go out and tell people about him and confess him before the men, and don't worry about it if they do destroy your body, because you may lose it for his sake, but boy, you're going to gain something so much better. See how all this works together? Isn't that good? He that receiveth you receiveth me. Now this is, he's wrapping up these instructions of them going out. If they receive you, they receive me. What does he say so many times in the Bible? He that knows the Father knows me. Right? He and his Father is one. Those that receive us and accept the things that we say, they're receiving God through us. And he that receiveth me receiveth him that sent me. See how that flows from God to Jesus to us. To all of those out that we reach and we touch. That's why it's so important that we share the gospel, the good news. He that receiveth a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward. And he that receiveth a righteous man in the name of a righteous man shall receive a righteous man reward. As they go out, you're going to run into people that don't like it, that don't want to hear it, the same he's telling us. They don't want, but folks, you're going to run into some good people. There are going to be some good people out there, some righteous people that will love to talk to you about the Lord. There'll be those that may overhear. I think of Jesus teaching in the house, and there's so many people they can't fit in the door, and they're straining their necks to listen. Folks, there are some that will strain their neck when we talk about the Lord to others. Even if it's one of us and we're out in public, when we're talking, you don't know who's straining their neck to listen because they may need it. Well, Jean says that she'll talk to them anywhere she goes. That's good. Even if it's good Christian people, how's the Lord treating you? Are you being blessed today? You don't know who's the next aisle over that's here and just needs to hear that.
Well, if you'll notice, like when we go on our picnic and we get up there and we sing songs, if you look around, you see people coming out from everywhere just to listen.
They'll come and listen.
And they need that. They need that.
The world needs that. And whoever shall give to drink unto one of these little ones a cup of cold water, only in the name of a disciple, verily I say unto you, he shall in no wise lose his reward. Isn't that good to know? Be good to people. It tells us in the Bible you may be entertaining angels unaware. It may be one of God's people. You don't know them. Hey folks, it don't cost you a one thin dime to smile at somebody. To say a good word. Jesus loves you. God loves you. Don't cost us a thing. And if you do it and keep doing it, it gets easier. Even when I remember them telling of a young man who was in seminary school, and he come back, of course, here to Clay, and some people was, how his buddies was in school were people that knew him in school, and they're wanting to make fun of him, and they saw him coming out of a subway up there, and they yelled some obscenities to him and flipped him the bird, and he says, well, thank you very much. I'll put that in my prayer tonight. See, he handled it the proper way. How do you think it made them feel? See, they was hoping to get a reaction out of him so that they can make fun of him even more. I'll put that in my prayer tonight. Sometimes there's going to be those that's going to give you a nice cold drink of water. And then there's going to be some that just won't offer you anything. Pray a blessing upon those that gives you the cold water, and pray for those that didn't, that they may get salvation, or make it right. It's about all we can do for some of them is just pray for them. And let them know you're praying for them. You never know how that may change them.
It says you heap coals of fire on their head.
Yep. Well, let's end up there for tonight. I don't know how many of you seen or though, but I did create a new Facebook page for our new church and a YouTube channel. I don't know if the YouTube channel is visible yet, because I have to put in the address of the church, and when I put it here, it says that this church is here. So I got to shoot like a little video showing that we're changing the name and do something anyway to prove to them that we are here, and we're not the Methodist church anymore. So, but anyway, I'll be posting the new videos to that. I didn't make it something you had to join. I made it open to everyone. Everybody can see it. Our other ones, they had to ask to be joined, and I had to approve them to end. That it was set up that way when I inherited it. I think it needs to be open to anybody can see it, the message that we give.
Yeah.
It should be. I didn't know how to change the other one. I tried to do the go and change it to make it public, and I could not figure out how to do that. That's like Greg asked if I could put the link to the new one on there, and I was thinking when I saw that, I said, well, Greg, if I knew how to do that, I'd have done it to start with. And then Sarah put it out there. So.
Yeah, she did it.
And I was thinking when he asked, I said, if I knew how to do that, I would have done it. But anyway, we're rolling along, and as far as I know, we'll be here Sunday. Bible school is Sunday. You see they're already set up for it. I did get some really good news about our Bible school that you may not be aware of, but they had to shorten my class time up because it was going to take up too much. And boy, I'm telling you, I don't know about y'all, but that was good news for me. All right, if there's nothing else,